Hi everyone, I'm Nu-Trix the Synth Guy. Today's the day after Christmas and it's my yearly list of the best apps for making music on the iPad. I did that exercise last year and I did 17's app for 2017, and this year I couldn't get under 30 apps. So you'll see a lot of the apps I talked about last year come back because, of course, if they were good last year, they're not bad this year. They're still good. So a lot of these apps are still on my list. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And a lot of other apps came up this year because you guys wrote to me and say, hey, try this one, try that one, try this one. So I did try them, and I learned a lot about other apps I didn't know about, or I never tried before. Now I broke down these apps into categories again. I've got DAWs, Digital Audio Workstation, of course. I've got drum machines, which are, let's say, a sequencer for drum with a sound generator of drums or percussions. And I have something else called what I call BeatMakers. BeatMakers are a mix of a couple of synthesizers, a drum machine, and a sequencer. I have synthesizers. Of course, I'm a synth guy. That's the biggest part of this video. I have a new categories about effects. This year I started to use more effects because I see that there's more and more dedicated effects plugin you can download, and because now you have audio unit on the iPad, a lot of plugins are coming out and they're really great. So I'll talk about some of them. I'll finish with tools or utilities, you know, that part that everybody needs to have, but it's not so sexy to have, you know. It's a tool, but these tools often are you know, what makes the rest glue together and works. Now, before I start, I just want to come back on the point that I talked about 17 app last year, and these videos are still good. So in some cases, I'll put the video down in the description, and you can go back and see these videos. And a lot of the other apps I'll talk today, I did a full review or tutorial on them. I'll put the links in the description if you want to see the whole thing. Now let's go into synthesizers. Now synthesizers I have, of course, I'll go quick on them because I talked about them last year. I have always a, you know, place in my heart from the Korg synthesizer, like the Monopoly, and this thing just sounds nice, you know. Just like massively powerful sound. It's just like a big sound, and it just sounds nice. Now they had something this year because they were really quirky, I would say. They added the Monopoly skin, so you can have the Monopoly, the game skin on top of this, so it's still a fully functional synth. A little bit hard to know what you're doing because where is my you know, where is the top? Oh, it's the head of the dog. Okay, that's where the arrow is. Okay, so that's just a little quirky, but this actually, it sounds good, it reacts well, and it also integrates into Gadget, which is again my favorite DAW. Next one is Odyssei, which is the ARP Odyssey remake from Korg. What's cool about this one, there's also a sequencer in it, and it sounds really nice. It works really fine with the synthesis of this synth, and you have the Rev 1 and Rev 2, so you've got 3 revision of this one, and the original one plus the 2 revs, and they have different filters. Here you have VCF 1, 2, and 3. These are the 3 different filters depending on which revision you had, hardware-wise. And again, this sounds really nice. It's very analogish. So I like this one. I like the synthesis of this one, and it sounds nice. So I'm not going to go through this one because we talked about it last year. Model 15 from Moog. Model 15, I think it's one of the cool things to have. If you're interested in modular synthesizers, this one is a great way to start. And you can actually move everything. You can connect all the cables where you want them. And you can move around like this. There's a lot of very powerful you have a ribbon controller, you've got an arpeggiator, you have a keys, of course, you can play, and you have the Animoog controls. Also, what's nice about this one, you have, if you look at the bottom, you have a bus channel input and output, what they call audio bridge. So you can send information. Let's go here. 1, 2, 3, 2 audio bridge. You can send and receive audio. So you could actually use this as an effect processor. You could get sound coming from Aria Pro into this, go through the different part of the synth, and come back into Aria Pro. So this can become a just massive Moog pedal, Moog pedal. Okay, so really fun. That one is a cool one. Cassini synth. Again, I talked about it last year. Cassini is still a great all-around synth. You have different banks of sound. What's cool about this thing is it's a polyphonic synth. You've got, what you expect out of any type of synthesizer. You've got so many powerful features here. You've got even some FM synthesis, noise, wave shaping, everything you expect is there. You have 3 oscillators you can play with, 2 different filters, amplifier, there's a delay, dedicated delay to that. There's an ARP, which is arpeggiator. It's really powerful because the arpeggiator is polyphonic, so it's almost a sequencer if you want. And this thing sounds really cool. It's making me think of the great synthesizers we had in the 90s, like a powerful, polyphonic, powerful synth, and it's a great mix between this and recreation of analog circuitry. So it's a cool thing. So Cassini synth. Synth One. Synth One came out this summer, and it's just a free, fun. So you have the arpeggiator. You can actually switch different section here. You have the top section here. So it could be effects, it could be envelopes, could be oscillators section, could be the arpeggiator. And it's just efficient, I don't know what to say outside that. Synthesis is powerful enough. Sounds is cool. It sounds warm. You've got an arpeggiator and a sequencer. It's just a cool little app. You just add it to your stuff, Here you go, free one. Then you have Poison 202. Poison 202 is the one we were just talking before that Groove Writer is using within his own engine. And for me, this one makes me believe I can get rid of my JP8000 from Roland, because it does everything. Because you've got the super saw here, and the super saw is now one that I come back often also is Zeeon. Again, this one I like because of the sound. It sounds nice, yet it's just sound like warm and round. And the sequencer is a really really easy way to create like super easy to just enter the note and go ahead and go, I'm going to tie this one with this one. Next one is LayR. LayR this year was another one that I learned about, and this one is surprisingly powerful. This is like a massive multi-timbral polyphonic synth. You can have up to 256 voices on 120 layers of sound. That's what I call it, layers. Let's load a bigger one. So this one is using 3 layers, and if you want to see what this looks like, this one has 2 layers, this one has 1 layer, this one has 4 layers. So this is the sound we are listening. I'm going to go here, you can go in and look at the synthesis of just 1 layer. It's really powerful. And then the sequencer can be assigned to different layers. So you can have, it's an arpeggiator, but basically it becomes almost a sequencer of these different layers. So you could even see this, if you want, as a beat maker, like sequencers, and you can have one synth making the kick, one synth making the hi-hat and the drum, and because you can have 128 of them, just like massive. Again, really fun, really powerful. Phase 84 from Retronyms. Phase distortion synthesis. That's what Phase 84 is about. And that's an old synthesis that comes back from the FM days, which they were looking for different ways to create rich sounds. And so you can have really cool little sounding. The filter is really nice about this thing. Now there's also perform. The cool thing about this synth is you've got the perform section, and this is kind of an arpeggiator, but it's actually a step modulator that sends to whatever you want. In this case, it sends to the amp and the shaper. If I get rid of that, I have nothing. Go back to perform. I'm going to send it to, let's say, the shaper. Cyclop from Sugar Bytes. Cyclop is, I would say, an industrial sounding monophonic bass synth. So you've got these. It's really, you know, aggressive sounding. Let's if you're looking for classic analog sounding synth, this is not the case. This is really distortion, noisy, 8-bit. There's a very complex modulation matrix in here. That's why it becomes like everything is moving at the same time if you push it to the limit. I would say that Cyclop and the next one I'll talk about, these were made to create really bizarre sound. You can use it as an instrument, but one of the approach that I would see people use these for is for sound, I would say ambiances. I mean, for games, for film, for cinematics. Cyclop is really easy to use for that. You can create these kind of a noise that goes into a soundscape, and not just a song. And you have the same thing with the new one, Aparillo. Aparillo from Sugar Bytes also is This one is using FM synthesis in a different way, but the result is often very cinematic. I'll take another one. Let's say ambiances for abstract. So when I'm saying cinematic, that's what I mean. It's just like this approach is totally for evolution of the sound. Now, if you say, well, it's kind of weird, how can I control it? If you go back here, all of the graphics you have here, you can actually have them at the bottom here. There's the cloud. You can actually say where it's going and what it's doing, you know, and the shape it has, and the light, and this, and all of them, they have a different type of way of changing, you know, the sound. In this case, there's a shaper, there's a formant shaper. You can select how it's going to act. So it's really powerful. You can fold or not because it's an FM synth, and you've got jitter. I mean, I'll do another video just for this one. It's just really powerful. But by default, you have these massive, you know, cinematic landscapes. I can imagine people using this for games and film. I can do cinematic sound, but you can also do stuff that that is more controlled. So you got Effectrix is a really cool one. It's totally bizarre. So you're going to play a loop in this case, and all of these are different. Okay, so you get your loop playing, and then you've got effects. That's cool. Visual sound, no effects, and then the one with the effects. Now this actually is what they call the multi-effects sequencer. So you get all these effects that plays at the same time. And then when you click on reverb, you've got the information at the bottom here, what it is. You can have memories of them, and you can even control some part of it. So in real time, you can change the value of one of the value here, and that's going to be how this, I mean, this is assigned to right now to, let's say, the room size, and this one is assigned. So, and the B is going to be assigned to, I don't know, the width. So you're changing values in real time at the bottom here, and then you say where you want it. So you can have reverb here, reverb here, reverb here, but it will not be the same because the value is changing. So it's really powerful. Also from Sugar Bytes is Turnado. Turnado is it looks really simple. You've got 4 X and Y to control 4 different effects. But what you have, if you click on it, you have each of them control these. I mean, these control these 2 values here, and this one controls these 2 here, this one controls these 2 here, and these 2 here. So, and I'm going to load a sound. say you want to edit this one more, you can go edit, and then you get the whole thing to control what you want. That's too much, okay. So really, really complex. Now, Filtatron from Moog, I talked about it last time. Filtatron is still a great way to play around with the Moog sound, sorry, and you know, just have a, let's say, put a sample in it, and you can actually go into there and then. It's like a little bit like having a Mooger pedal. The Waves plugin, which is something that you didn't have before, something you find on computers into an app. So the Wave plugins, if you want to have access to the Ultra Maximizer and the Equalizer and the audio track, but I'm not going to show it because we talked about it in the first section. And then the other really cool effects that I use often are the one that are in-app purchases for Audio Pro, and I'm just going to show you them because for me it is mind-boggling that you can have that in an app. It's just on the iPad. The fact that when you load a session you have Timeless, which is a FabFilter plugin, Pro C2 for the compressor. You have FabFilter Pro L for the limiter. You have FabFilter Pro Q2 for the EQ. You have, and I use these for even mastering because you have the capacity of doing so. And this is Saturn. This is just a mind-bending distortion plugin. Timeless. I bought all of them because they just sound great. So the last section we're getting into is about utilities. TouchOSC is really fun. You can have this thing here where you have, this is a preset to control the circuit. You have the macro for each of the sounds, 8 macros exactly like you have on the circuit. You have the patch name, the level for the drum number 1. Number 1, you get the pitch, the decay, the distortion, the EQ. Same thing with the drum number 2, 3, and 4. So the 4 different sounds you have here, you have control over everything. So basically you have the same thing that you have on the front panel. You click here, you then have access to the wave of the oscillator. For the synth, you have pulse width modulation, you've got velocity, naturally, V-sync, density, detune. All of these things are really nice to have, but it doesn't go as deep as I want it to go because the feature of the internal synth of the circuit is so much powerful that you don't have enough controllers here, and you need to go through system exclusive, and TouchOSC does not support that. So TouchOSC is very easy to use, very easy to create your own interface to control whatever you want, but it has to stay within the, let's say, normal MIDI values or controllers, and then if that's the case, that's perfect for you. It does what you want. Now if you want to do system exclusive, it does not support it. The other one I do like is Lemur, and Lemur also has the option of creating whatever you want. In this case, I have already patches that I found on the website that people share, and they built the entire synthesis controller or editor to go in and control the internal sounds of the circuit. So this is a very cool way to use an iPad with a hardware device, and especially in the case of the circuit does not have a lot of controllers on top, physically on it to go in depth into the synthesis power of that module. And that screen gives you all of that. You can see that you have a lot of information you can actually play with. You can load even step sequencers. You know, this is a dedicated step sequencer. You can actually type in the steps where you want them and start using it. And that's one way to use it. So you can actually create different type of projects with that. You either create it on the screen here, but there's some limits on creating on the iPad, but you can create on the computer. And so if you want to have control over your hardware using your iPad, my two favorite ones are really that Lemur that goes into system exclusive, and the other one is TouchOSC. That's it, guys. That's basically my top 30 apps of the year 2018. Now, I hope this is actually useful for you guys to see which one is for you. Now, for a lot of them, I have videos I made around the year to show how I use them. So look into the description down, you'll see the list of them. In some cases, as we talked about, they did appear on top as linked to these places. Write down in the comments other apps you want me to test or look into, or what I'll do in the next weeks, I'll do videos about how to use these together into a song. So I'll give you more ideas of how to actually think about your workflow and make something better. And I wish you a very good year into making new music and more music. Take the time to make it. It is so good for your health to actually make music. Cheers. See you soon.